Welcome to Future Focus. Voices leading change.
Danielle,
Kia ora.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I love the hair.
Thanks.
You might as well talk us through it.
Oh, it's wacky hair day at Terrace Views, so I love to just go out, all out. The kids love it.
It's Barbie themed.
Yeah, I went for Barbie today. Yeah.
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 Have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't actually.
No, I took my kids out of it.
Yeah. I think it is
I just said
definitely
to them,
an
I
adult
paid
one.
money to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't go along. It's really cool to have you in on this podcast. I think for me, like I said to Shay, like there's been, it's been a real cool observation of ours, or mine in particular, just watching you really grow into a role. And I know I appreciate your vulnerability and your willingness to share your story and actually address it. That's what I really love about you, because you're not sitting caught in the mud. You've got a desire to push your way through, and it's quite. I mean, you're an exceptional teacher, which is great, but I think you're really coming into your own in that leadership space. So it's really cool to have you on this.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah.
Tell us about yourself, about your family, about your kids and
Okay,
and,
all right.
and Ellen.
Yeah. Hi, babe. So I am a mum to 3 beautiful children. I've got Cora, who's 8, Lila, who's just about 6, and Mac, who's 19 months. And my gorgeous husband that I've been with for married for 10 years now, Alan, who's my absolute biggest supporter in everything I do. So, yeah, that's our little whānau.
Yeah, it was cool. Actually, I thanked Alan the other day because I know that he does a lot for you to do a lot.
Yes,
you know.
absolutely.
And it wasn't just, he was a bit stark, like kind of, but I was like, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's cool to know that he's really right behind you.
Yeah, he really is. And I think he had his career in the Navy and I was so supportive of him. And I think, we live in a world now where it's acceptable for women to want to strive in their careers and do better and go further. And he's so supportive of me doing that. So it's awesome.
What's do better for you now?
Do better for me now?
What is it? We're just
great...
going straight into that.
Yeah, you're just diving right in there. I think for me, stepping into the kaimahi position was one of those steps that I wanted to take to develop my leadership and working with a bigger team. I've never led a team as big as I'm leading at the moment, and just working really closely alongside Ashley as well and developing from her too, and coming into the leadership council as well and seeing what that looks like has been really amazing. Yeah.
And we really love now that you guys have got to that point. Like it was having Heather in the other day, and it was pretty full on meeting.
Yeah.
Even like I don't know if she told you, but I was pretty overwhelmed myself, just my own head.
Yeah.
But it's so powerful having you guys in there because you guys are the future of what this organisation or company looks like.
Yeah.
What do you think? You're talking about a big team because you have got a big team now that I think through that.
Yeah.
But you've literally got the batch.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, which is crazy to think that. Yeah. But because we've got 4 Te Hui teachers, and then we've got 4 kiri teachers, and myself,
yes.
and so. Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think. Also, just going into what that space and how the evolution of that space has been. It's been with the ranging experiences too. It's been a really cool challenge for you. What are some of the real highlights of that space? Just talking Te Hui and kiri kahurangi spaces.
Oh, I think the growth that we've seen in that space, even in the last few months, has been just amazing. And I think the team recognising that, yes, we're all different, but we all bring something really amazing to the table and celebrating those things. And I think since doing that, the communication, the, routines and rhythms of the day, the provocations that are being set out is just like everyone's just on it. It's just happening naturally. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch that evolve.
You've got, I want to just probably drop into Amy Dixon a wee bit.
Yes.
I had a beautiful PGC with her, and she really, I don't want to use the word rely, but she looks up to you What do you think it's going to take to really get the best out of someone like Amy? And I'm not just talking particular Amy now, but someone in that sense, new to the career, fresh out of study. What do you think some of your moves will be to make sure that she is reaching her potential every day?
Yeah, I just really empower her and her knowledge. Like I say, when she comes to me with something, I'm like, you know, though, she might be just wanting that confirmation that she's on the right track.
She's always busy.
She
She's
is
just
always
like
busy.
scuttling.
Always busy. She's always like, she can read the room and she's like, right, we need something, we need it now, and she gets that happening. And she is an amazing kaiako. I feel very blessed to work alongside her, and she teaches me things as well. So, and I remind her of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
She when we did that review of Terrace Views, it was like probably one of the highlights of our careers in this space, that we were actually out reviewing the greatness. Like, normally people review when things go wrong.
Yes.
And Courtney and I were like, nah, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Let's get in and just find out what that is. To be fair, we probably came up with more questions than we did answers.
Yeah.
But just harking back to Amy, what she actually said is, we just try to be the best teammate possible, the best teammate we can be. And I was like, man, so simple.
Yes, it is.
When you're looking at it with that level of lens of just the simplicity of, I just want to be a great teammate.
Yeah.
And I think kudos to you, because whatever's gone on in the last few months, and we'll talk about that more, but it's very evident in the practice. Obviously, enrollments are an easy gauge, but I think that's one thing that teams don't pat themselves on the back enough about. If you're full, you're good.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of daycares,
yes,
but we're an early learning space. I don't like the word daycare, but there is I'm not saying that in a bad way, but there are some crappy spots,
Agreed.
And we don't want to be part of that.
No.
We are about education. We just wouldn't be full.
Yeah. And something that just really sits heavy on my heart is when families come in and they go, we've been to so many other centres, and we walk in here and there's just something special about this place. It just, the overwhelming sense of pride I feel for my team and the way that we run things is, it's so cool.
What's some of the challenges?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Sometimes the challenges can be, like I said about kaiako coming to me for things and them not feeling empowered enough. That would be a challenge, I think.
But you've been there.
Yeah, 100%.
So you've got strategies around coping with it,
Yeah.
or not coping. You know, right?
Yeah.
When you were in that position as a teacher, because you've told me some pretty, what I would deem horrible stories, and I hope that we hope and pray that we're building a company that calls that sort of level of behaviour out.
Yes. Yeah.
But how did you cope in those scenarios where you just felt like you weren't empowered? Basically the opposite of what Amy Dixon feels.
Yeah, I cried a lot. I questioned my career path, quite honestly. And I thought about other things that I could do, really. I didn't cope, and every day was a real challenge. And it does make me so sad to think that there's other people out there going through that. And I think that's why we're losing so many teachers from the sector, because we're not getting that empowerment. Yeah.
It's a dangerous old road, because I was talking with Sammy and Courtney this morning about a potential idea of a storyboard and storyboarding out people's inspirations or their whys, or what contributes to their whys. Teachers, Rose talks about Mr. C, and there's Kate's like Mr. Hayes, and those sorts of things. But
Yes.
we're talking about Alan and Courtney and all these people, and storyboarding out people's whys. And I think those people's whys are not enough if you're not empowered.
Yes.
You know, what got you through though? Why are we still talking to you in an ECE space?
Again, people like Amy Dixon, Johanna, Suzanne, you know, they have been through a bit of that with me, but also my husband really uplifting me as a person, because I think not only do you take a hit as a teacher, it takes a hit personally, and you start thinking, well, what is it that I'm doing, you know? But yeah, they really got me through that period of my life. Yeah.
So how do we make sure that doesn't happen again? For you personally, but how do we as a company make sure that that's not happening?
Open communication, brave conversations, encouraging one another, being there for one another. When you work together in a team, you know, for my team, I always say to them, I'm here in this workspace, but I'm also here outside of this workspace because I care about you and I care about your growth and what you're doing here and what you're doing at home. Yeah, creating a safe space.
It was actually such a huge revelation to us, because what we actually discovered in our review of Terrace Views is that you don't actually hang out with each other outside of work.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And that was probably my major revelation, because when you think of high-performing teams, you think of just purely the maths. There's 168 hours in a week. You've got to be winning a lot of that in a relationship space in terms of time, but that was so evident. Everyone reiterated the fact that they don't hang out. Not that we did not ask that directly. So do you hang out? How many times are you catching up? Like it just organically presented itself, and it was fascinating because it really challenged my core belief of that you have to, you know, win people outside of work.
Yeah,
But a 2-minute text message,
absolutely.
conversation, or a phone call for 5 minutes, or a pat on the back on the way out the door,
Yes.
done consistently and regularly, is where we live, right?
Yeah.
That's where Terrace Views is at.
Absolutely. Like every time someone starts, no matter what room, no matter where we are, like go around and say good morning to everyone. Same with when we leave. And that's so important. And it's also a time for us to say, you know, oh, I know you've got this on this weekend. Good luck with that. And yeah, it's
Have you
so
been
important.
deliberate about that? You know, the coming in the morning. It's like me. Like when I get to census, I take my bag off, and I generally just go around and say hello. Unless like I get the Terrace Views and you guys are putting people to sleep or something. But you know, I generally go around and say hello. And have you been deliberate about that, or has it just been? Where's that come from?
It comes quite naturally to me. I think I've worked at centres in the past where someone might arrive and I don't even know they're there, and I want everyone to know, hey, I'm here. How's the morning gone? Is there anything I can help you with, or is there anything important I might need to know? And so yeah, I just think it's a vital part of the day. And same within the afternoon, I want to make sure everyone's good and let them know I'm leaving. Thank you for a great day, because I think it's so important to thank your team for a good day, and let them know how much you appreciate them.
Done daily, very powerful.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. That little thing every day that builds up, that fills someone's cup up. Yeah.
We all want to be appreciated.
Oh, absolutely.
Like even me.
Yeah.
I think, and I think the further up the chain you go, not that we're real big believers in major levels of bureaucracy or hierarchy, but the further up you go, and you know, the less. Well, take being a mum. That's a good. I think that's a great example. Mums are often the thankless. You know, they're the ones that, you know, the kids are pulling and the husband's pulling, and then their parents, and then, you know, mums are the ones. They're the superheroes that often go by without thanks, and that's something that I've really worked hard on in my own marriage, just making sure I'm showing appreciation. But it is a good representation of often the teacher's role. Yes,
absolutely.
You know, it's easier to tell teachers they're not doing a great job than it is to tell them they are doing a great job.
Yes.
So that's quite an interesting piece. So Let's go backwards a little bit. What got you to teaching?
Well, my mum was a ECE teacher.
Was or is?
Oh, she's actually a kindergarten teacher
Yes,
now.
yes.
Yeah. So she was working at a little community-based centre in Papamoa, and my mum was a single mum, so often after school I would go to the centre with her.
Right.
Yeah, from the age of, I think I might have been about 8.
Is that centre still around?
No, sadly not. Yeah, ended up going under. Yeah, but so I spent so much of my time there. In school holidays, I'd be there as well, and so I developed this passion for young people and working alongside them. And when I was 15, I started working at the centre. I started as a cleaner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I would clean up, and then the chef would have the school holidays off, so I would go and fill that position. And then eventually found myself relieving on the floor, and then I took a year after high school to just spend a year just teaching and experiencing both the under twos and the over twos, and also signed up to a relieving agency and went around different centres and just wanted to make sure it was something I really wanted to do before I studied. Yeah.
You've got a lot of experience.
Well, yeah.
Not that I'm throwing out that you're really old,
Yeah. Don't make me feel old, right?
but you actually have got a lot of experience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had a little bit of time off, obviously, with my children, and when I injured my back, trying to get into something else. But my heart's just always been with teaching.
But the collective time, like when I was studying for my teaching degree, and I'd made a pretty clear decision I wanted to become principal as fast as I could. I put myself on vacation that supported that. Like I worked in for 2 years, worked with, well, no longer, because I actually did it in my first year of teaching as well, because the pay was pretty bad, and I needed to earn more money. But I used to work with a trust that looked after people with high need intellectual disability, and actually, quite frankly, that I count as an accumulative time of teaching, because that was me learning to be patient, to understand and be empathetic about the needs of neurodiversity or intellectual disability or physical disability. You had to. I think the big learning for me was also that they have as many rights as we do.
Yes.
And it, they have need. They have massive need.
Yes.
Just because they have ID or a physical disability does not mean that they are not human. And
absolutely.
all that collective stuff really came in, but it also fed a lot of my leadership desire. What about what's been feeding your leadership desire? Because you're very good at it for your stage, for where you are at. But I think what I'm talking to is your potential is huge. So where's it come from first? Let's deal with that, and then we'll carry on into that space.
I really value relationships. Relationships are very important to me, and so having like a really good relationship with my team is important, and wanting to see my team do really well is really important to me. And I think I'm going to get emotional.
You're right.
I mean, for me, it's always, I've never felt like I'm enough. So I've done a lot of reflection in what enough feels like, and having more belief in myself that I can do these things. I haven't necessarily had good leaders in the past, which is really what's pushed me to want to be, just to empower others, to make others feel good, because it's something that I haven't always had. I think that's what really drives me in wanting to do that. I want to see more teachers stay within ECE. I want to make a real difference in ECE, because I think it's not valued enough at where it should be. So I think that's really what drives me on that path.
The first question, are we the company that's going to take you to that point?
I feel like since I've come back from my maternity leave, the self-growth I've had within myself has been more than what I've had in probably 10 years. So I really see that Future Focus has supported me on so many different levels. So I do see myself going much further with Future Focus. Down the track, I think I'd like to get involved with Ministry of Education because, like I said, I really want to make a difference in what ECE looks like. But I feel like Future Focus is my path that way.
And the second question then is, and just going back to what you're talking about with a pretty simplistic way, you're like, I want to make people or support people to help other people feel good about themselves. What does that look like as a leadership model daily and then long term? So as a daily model, what do you have to implement to actually achieve that people are actually going out making, it's like a stone, right? You're dropping it into a pond,
Yeah.
that ripple effect.
Yeah.
What actions will you take in that space?
I like to lead by example. So I always like to be doing my part within the day. And I think from role modelling this and having open conversation, brave conversations, other teachers have picked up on this naturally. I've had a lot of one-on-one conversations with my team about what drives them to come to mahi every day. What can I do to support them? Because I need to, like we talk about knowing children before we teach them. I feel like it's important for me to know my team before I can lead them and knowing how people want that leadership as well. Yeah.
And, you know, we were talking about then just like there's models you've seen that have not worked. Like, how do we as an individual make sure we don't slip into those spaces?
Yes. So I find myself a lot going through I don't want to be a micromanager. It's like a big fear that kind of sits on my shoulders. But also I want to be able to have those conversations with teachers if I see more potential in what they're doing or whatnot. So I've had to really let go of the bossy kind of term. And just know that it's okay to talk to people about what they're doing and whatnot. I'm not butting in at every single stage.
And, you know, I think in terms of your leadership space, and you're talking about, and I love hearing your deep aspiration, what from your past has galvanized you? What's gone on to galvanize you into this space that you're like, this is my path. It's like, I've got to get out and be out there doing what I need to do because I don't want our people, and I'm talking just in general the sector, being confronted by horrible leadership or owners or whatever. What's galvanized your ability to know that you can cope when hitting those sorts of things head on?
Sorry, I'm just at a loss. Can you? Yeah.
So, what experiences have galvanized or made you stronger to know that you'll be able to cope with that leadership journey of empowering those others to empower others?
I think I know what it feels like to not be empowered. So
familiarity.
That,
with it.
so that alone really drives me in wanting to make people feel empowered, making people feel like what they're doing is important. You know, like if my team is setting something up, like that is amazing. I really love the thought that you've put into that, and you followed on with so-and-so's interest, you know, just really lifting them up, making them feel good, because I've been squashed down quite a bit. So that's so important to me.
And as you go into more spaces of I don't want to say hierarchy, but you know, like let's use this example: bigger numbers. You know, how will you continue to maintain that efficiency of message?
I think it will definitely be a challenge. I think when you step up into new positions, there are always challenges. And sometimes I think you learn while you're going through it. You learn, oh, this didn't work so well, but maybe I could try this. And constant reflection. I think reflection this year for me has been massive. Like going away and thinking about things before dealing with it or talking to someone. And yeah.
And you got quite a cool little kaimahi group.
Very
that,
much
that
so.
chat is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, you see, I'm lucky and privileged enough to see the level of, and it's hard for me. I want to chime in all the time, but I'm really trying to let you guys figure it out, because there's no value in me always chiming in with answers.
Yes.
You know, but I must, you know, I drop one of those creepy hearts or thumbs up or whatever, you know, just from the background. But that helps. But also, I just think, what I think you're not seeing in your, this is just my opinion, you have a presence, you know, and remember you were really talked up to me by Lane.
Yes.
Like Lane was like, you wait till you meet Danielle, she's amazing, blah, blah, blah. And that was without me knowing where you had been, right? So first thing is you have presence, you're calm.
Yes.
As a leader, and that's something I'm working on a lot, you know, like my brain and being calm is not where two words of association, not really. So you're calm. And I actually think a major piece is you're vulnerable.
Yes.
And in this world that we are in, of just in general, vulnerability is a currency that has gotten way more worth in the last 10 years in particular.
Yes.
That vulnerability, though, how do you use that in your own leadership journey?
I try and relate to how my kaiako are feeling. I try and understand. I think people often say it's my biggest blessing and biggest curses. I feel so deeply. I put myself into that person's shoes and how they're feeling. Yeah. But I think open communication is it's become really important to me, and being really honest about how I'm feeling. Yeah.
And going into goals, because you've mentioned the Ministry of Education, and I'm going to go on record to saying I think you'd be a waste in the Ministry of Education, but you know, you do whatever you want to do. Going into your goals, how do you know that you'll continue to have the impact that you're talking about with your level of goal setting? Like, you know, what I'm trying to garner out is like, how do you know? Because I know you know, but because it's very evident when I'm talking to you, but how do you know? Like, what's in you that's just like feeding the fire?
Determination. Yeah. Passion. And I think goals and paths change along the way. I just think my biggest thing is that I want early childhood education, because that's what it is. It's not daycare.
Yes.
I want it to be taken more seriously. I guess I want kaiako to feel more valued. That's such a passion of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is feeling valued? Because you spoke about it, and I'm going to come back to it. But what is feeling valued as a kaiako? What does that mean? Or what does that look like in action? Feeling valued.
It's feeling valued from our whānaus, feeling valued from our team, from you guys, you know, from even, it's bigger than that. It kind of comes to an outside of circle, you know, from other educational
Yes,
areas.
like primary schools.
Yes. Well, I didn't want to say it, but
Just
you
say
went
it.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And that what we do is important. And we're
Yes.
shaping these humans to go to primary school and, you know, laying those foundations of that.
It's we're building. We're the first stage of the
Yes.
block building, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And how far away are we from that?
I feel like it's definitely developed. It has. But we're not close enough for my liking. Like, we've still got a way to go.
And even what you just did there, like, even the language, like daycare. I am absolutely quashing that. Like,
Yeah.
even the language of like we've called it a council, a leadership council.
Yes.
We are very deliberate about that. Well, like, even when you've come in a few times and the contributions in there, I would like to think that you feel just as valued, if not more, and your contributions are highly valued in that sense. And if it's not there at that level, how can we expect whānau to believe that?
Yes.
And what you're discussing is the question we have been asking ourselves is, does our environment reflect our aspiration? We want to be taken seriously.
Yes.
If we don't mimic action that allows families to take us seriously, if leadership council members do not facilitate situations where you guys feel appreciated and valued as educators, you are praised for leading strong educational outcomes, how can we expect communities to do it?
Absolutely.
And that's been part of the emphasis around us staying in Papamoa and doing a bloody great job is so we can do that.
Yes.
And, you know, your passion is, I think that's why you and I get on, because we align massively. We've got a very common, I fought for this in primary teaching, you know, you get all those holidays. You know, teacher, you know, I was in that space, you know, I was always... and then I dropped down to ECE, and it was even, you know, not when I'm saying down, not down, but you know what I mean, coming into this age group. Like, it was 10x worse than what primary schools copped.
Yes.
It was shocking. It was shocking.
Yeah.
And having big levels of, first, where I applaud you is you have a vision of what that's going to look like, because we can't get there if we don't have strong vision, but also an execution on a day-to-day. If we're not building an environment that reflects our aspiration, we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Absolutely.
I'm going to come back to not being enough. You and I have had some pretty cool conversations, not as frequently as I would like, because I am conscious of keeping people over their breaks longer or things like that.
Yeah.
I must admit, I would be preferring to have more of those conversations with people like yourself and Shay and Heather and Megan and all these cool people that we've got out there.
Yes.
But being enough. Just talk to me about that whakaaro, that thinking, being enough.
See, I don't know how to talk about not feeling like I'm enough without identifying my own childhood trauma, I guess.
Acknowledging there is trauma.
Yeah.
Just like I have, I have my own trauma.
Yes.
But for you, internally, what is that struggle of being enough?
Feeling like my actions and what I'm doing is not enough. That constant kind of pull, and having to really pull myself away from that, because it is still very triggered within me, the not feeling like I'm enough or I'm not doing enough. Which is another tie for ECE for me, is I want to create a loving and space where children feel protected.
Yes.
Because I didn't have that. So that kind of all ties in for me, really.
People who come from trauma, like myself and yourself, how do we turn being enough, or ever thinking that being enough, how do we turn that into a strength?
I've started looking at it more like since we've had our conversations, actually.
Yeah.
And even since the kaimahi below the line, above the line,
Yes.
I've tried to turn that into a real positive, like, you said I wasn't going to be enough. Let me show you what I can do. Let me show you what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to make a difference, not just in my own life, but in all of these lives. You know, like, I want my actions to be screaming, you know. Yeah.
And even in that sense, I think a lot of my below the line stuff is actually now above the line. That's the real, for people with trauma, and we're built to cope.
Yes.
I don't believe that we're not put through things we can't cope with.
Yes.
All of our below the line stuff eventually ends up above the line. Because Mo Gaudet, he asks this question in his book, Soul for Happy. If you could change one thing in your life, what would you go back and change? And the only thing I had question marks over was being a teenage dad in terms of the impact of that on Cortez, my son. That was, but, you know, I don't regret him being here and being part of my life for his 24 years on this earth and more, obviously.
Yeah.
But a lot of what I went through is why I'm where I am today. And I think that is quite, this is what excites me about you, is actually now I know that Ashley and myself and Courtney and the rest of our council team, we're just opening the door for you, but you're just walking through them. You know, you can open doors to plenty of people, and I talk about it every day. Like, it is our responsibility as a leadership council to every day drop off their gift of opportunity. Every day we must put that in people's laps. We have to. It is an obligation of ours that every day we put opportunity in people's laps. How many people open that gift?
Yeah.
There's not many.
Yeah. Yeah. It's up to the individual to open it.
Absolutely up to the individual.
Absolutely.
But the responsibility of a leader is to continually drop the gift of opportunity in their lap. And that is what you do. You know, your trauma that you talk about, although it sounds weird, and I know I'm going through counselling still for my stuff, and I know you're heading in that
Yes,
path, or you
yeah.
are on that path, and you know, I openly tell people that because that is how we deal with it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you go to the gym, or, you know, you walk, or, you know, to keep your body physically healthy. Why is it that we shy away from mental health and what that looks like, looking after your mind, looking after your brain? And I think, again, from the above and below the line, that's what made me think, you know what, I need to look after my mental health. I need to have some more tools that I can put into place in my own life, but also in my leadership as well, to help others too.
And that counselling journey for you, do you, you know, like, do you feel like it's got an end point?
See, I used to think it did have an end point.
Yeah, I agree. And it's actually really rewarding to hear that from someone else. Because I know that's not the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, you were like, cool, get through 20 weeks of it and
Yeah. You're done. No, I think it can be, you might go once a week, every week for a couple of months. And then you might think, oh, I'm feeling a bit better. I might just drop it down. I might do it fortnightly. And then you might get to a stage in your life where you think, I might go monthly now. And then you might hit something else in life and think, oh, I might actually go back and start seeing someone more frequently. But I don't think it ends. I think it's healthy to talk about things, and it's something that I'm learning myself.
And I think you're modelling it too. Like, you know, your vulnerability, this is where I wanted to head with your vulnerability, is that you, even sharing that, is major levels of inspiration for leaders.
Yes.
Because I think on a leadership journey, we feel like, and I've been guilty of saying this in the past, leadership can be lonely. But actually, that's rubbish. Build the people around you.
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
honestly, our council meetings, we just like, and even last night, like Rose put up a message saying, "Oh, I've had a bit of a flat couple of days, but I've actually realised because I wasn't at the council meeting on Friday, I haven't seen you guys for a couple of days, and normally I get to get in a mode of creativity and da 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 da." And actually, leadership does not have to be lonely at all.
No, I agree. And the Fridays that I can come, I feel like I fly out of bed because it just gives you something else. It inspires you on a different level, being around all these and being able to have the chance to have these chats. Because, we're on the floor, we can have some chats and stuff, but also, the children are our focus. So we don't get to sit around a table and have a conversation like that. So it is just, it's something so special and something that I've, other than, meetings outside of work hours and what, I've never experienced that. So I think it's great. Yeah.
I shared with you a real idol of mine early in the year, Jim Rohn. I shared the big 201 talk with Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
And, he talks about that if you want an above average income, you've got to become an above average person. And we want to be world class. And what world class means is that we have to become world class ourselves.
Yes.
And what that looks like is exactly what you're talking to, is a group of people that get out of bed pumped up for their day.
Yes. And even that book, Build.
Yeah.
He talks about that.
He
talks about, people think that only Steve Jobs made the iPod and all the people that went into that and stuff. Yeah.
Interestingly, I am reading Steve Jobs' book at the moment. I'm quite, this is my ADHD, but I get quite infatuated. I'm reading 3 books that revolve around Steve Jobs.
Wow.
So Build,
Yes.
and then Creative Inc., which is from Ed Catmull, who was the head of Pixar, and then Jobs. And fascinating building a picture of Steve Jobs from the viewpoints.
Yes.
But also in that scenario there when we're talking about people like Steve Jobs and things. Actually, what Steve Jobs was really good at is exactly what you're saying. He had a lot of drive, obviously, but actually he brought the best out of people.
Exactly.
Bit maniacal, but he brought the best out of people. And exactly to what you talked to, and myself, arrogantly or not, I believe we are on our pathway to achieving that stuff. But actually, what I also realised, we can't do that without people like you. And who's comes after you? That's the real trick. And do I have the influence through that? Does it? That's, I could die tomorrow. Like it could be that way. But when it comes to inspiring the next group of leaders, what's the action that you can take to really bring that group of people through? What are the actions that you think you can do to really inspire that next group to be like, I want to be at those meetings, I want to bounce out of bed, I want to know that those meetings are just so powerful and I want to be part of it.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I talk about them for starters.
Cool, yeah.
I mean, I come back on Friday and I think my team can sense it. But like they say, oh, good meeting, was it? I'm like, oh, you have no idea. It was so cool. But also I'm putting that into my meetings, like stuff that I'm learning from the Leadership Council. I take away and I put them into the staff meetings that we have. And I really look forward to it. Like we have a meeting tonight and I just have all these things that I want to do, like a quote from Build that I wanted to read, like an activity. And we've talked a lot about our whys and our passions and stuff, and just having those conversations and getting people to dig further into themselves about why they're doing what they want to do. What do they want to do next? Because I think for a lot of us, we just think, oh, I'm going to be teaching forever. Like I remember not long ago, actually, we had a chat and I was like, I can't imagine ever not being on the floor with children, and just how far my mind has shifted from that, from those conversations. And
that build book's so good, eh?
I'm really enjoying, but I find I read a little bit and then I have to flick back, or I have to put it down and write some things down.
Actually, some chapters I've skipped past. like because I'm actually not, and I've dated it,
Yes.
so I'm like, I'm not at that chapter
Yeah.
yet. And then some of like the storytelling one, I shared
yes.
that, and I've done that with with the leadership crew. We've been talking about that one. That was a big one, but it's just like. That's the thing. I think what I hear from you is you read and you learn, but you're actually applying it. And there's no use just reading and not applying.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And there's no use applying without experiences and knowledge. You can't just apply because the probability of success is low. So you're trying to find the happy medium of combination of that stuff, and it's exciting for me to hear that. Do you think the next group of leaders coming through, are they going to have the same challenges?
I feel like their challenges are going to look different. Yeah.
That's the hope, right?
Yes.
Yes. I'm really proud to hear you say that. The hope is that their challenges are different.
Yes.
Because if they're the same, guess
Then
what?
we're doing something wrong.
We haven't done our job.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That is the thing. That's what drives me, is that what we are doing is trying to, like Steve Jobs, he was trying to absolutely revolutionise
Yes.
the end game, the experience. People who are crazy enough to change the world are the ones that go out and do it.
Yes.
Think they can change the world, and that's absolutely, I believe, that's why I think you fit in beautifully, because we know that that's actually where we want to be around change.
Yeah.
Okay, just to wrap up, we always, or we could go on for a lot longer, I think, Danielle,
Yeah.
but I think we will come back to this conversation, because I think there's a lot more there that we could probably really unpack. But what we always ask our guests on this podcast is the name of a student. Well, it doesn't have to be the name. About the experience a student has given you that has had a lasting effect.
This is hard because I've been teaching since 17, and I've been thinking about it. And I think for me it was actually when I was in my first year of study. A little girl called Talia started with us. She was 3 months old. Her mum was a single mum, and she had to go back to work, and she was there from 7:30 till 5:30 every day. And I could just feel her mum's heartbreak. And just seeing the relationship, like for Talia and her mum, and working alongside her mum, keeping her up to date, because obviously back then we didn't have Story Park and things like that. It was through emails and digital cameras and, that journey. And I was really lucky that I actually started in the under twos with her, and then as she moved up, I actually moved through. So I got to see her from 3 months to school.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first child's journey that I had seen right through. So I think she's always one that will stick with me. Yeah, and just being able to support her mum as well. Yeah.
I know that we will have many of those children, and I know what I love working with you is we know it's absolutely a responsibility and privilege that we don't take lightly.
Oh, absolutely not. Like, we genuinely care and love these children that come into our care. We want the best for them.
Yeah. Well, Danielle, I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate all that you do. I know I've given you a time frame in terms of getting you into that leadership space. And
Yes.
I think you're well on that track. Actually, do you have any other great books?
I was going to come to you for my next book because I'm
You know
just
what?
about finished
In all honesty,
build.
so I'll give it to you. I've written lots of notes in it, but it's Sam Walton. Sam Walton was he was the creator of Walmart. Seriously, I if everyone doesn't know, there's a bookshop called Xanadu.
Yes.
Which is around
Amazing.
here. Seriously, I picked this book up for $3.
You're kidding.
And actually,
Wow.
I am going as far as to say that it is probably the best book I've read this year.
Wow. And you read a
Written
lot.
30, yeah. Yeah. Just so simple. And just a good old person that's just, he's just, I cried at the end. It was just it's just so simple. And he's no different to us.
Yeah.
Puts his, like he says, he puts his trousers on one leg at a time. It was just, I don't know. I'll give it to you because it's you got to give it back though. But that book was just unbelievable. It actually, I was reading that in jobs and creative and lots of books. That book, I actually just stopped reading others so I could get through it because it was just so good. Yeah. So, and I think for the lessons you've talked about on this podcast today, I actually think you'll see the patterns of what he's talking about: passion and drive, but also focus and empowering people and all those sorts of stories, which, even today in 2023, when we share goals to people, some people are like, oh, how will they do that? How will they do that at a council meeting with X amount of centres? How will they they can't do that. They can't do that. And I love hearing that. In fact, I search it out and I look for it and I'm like, yep, cool, I'm on the right track.
Yes.
And this book Sam will seriously, it's an unbelievable book. Just of everything you've talked to. Yeah. So I'll get
I look forward to reading it. Yeah.
But anyway, yes, thank you very much, Danielle. No. I appreciate it. And I'm serious, we'll have to get you back on because I think there's probably a lot more to discuss.
Well, thank you for having me. And also, thank you for everything that you do. Not just you, but Courtney, the Leadership Council, Auntie, Sammy. It's so amazing to be, I always say, I feel like I'm part of something really important, and to feel that it's special. So I
really appreciate those comments. That means a lot. Thank you, Danielle.
Thanks.
Okay.